It's getting confusing trying to buy a float tank because there are three problems that exist in the industry today. The foreign-made float tanks, some of them are using images that don't represent what you're going to get. And so they'll use a picture of one of my tanks and then send you something that looks like a plywood box. So imagery is really confusing right now and what you're going to get. So buying a foreign-made float tank is scary because you don't have any way of knowing exactly what's going to show up until it's at your door and it's already paid for. So there's been a lot of frustration in that. Secondly, you're running into tanks that are used, and used tanks are unbelievably hard to put back into service if the person did not run water back through it and clean the tank properly of the salt before they put it into storage. Because that salt, if it's just left all in there without circulating water, it can lock up the tank and make it unbelievably difficult to get it back up and running. And then the third thing is you'll run into tanks that aren't UL listed. And so the UL listing standards are very straightforward, and they tell your municipalities and the local supervisors that the tank is safe. So if you put in a tank that's not UL listed, you can be subject to having to have testing done at your facility for between $4,800 and $6,500. If you have an incident where someone gets injured in your facility, regardless of whether or not it had something to do with the tank, if it's not, if that attorney finds out it's not UL listed, then you are going to be considered to be a negligent company and you'll lose in court. So buying something that is domestically made and represents themselves with what you're going to get, and having a tank that has been put into service properly so that you can depend on it going forward for years, and having a tank that is certified to be safe are absolutely mandatory considerations when you're getting a float tank. Most of the companies out there are not UL listed. That has to be scary. Most of the people that are selling used tanks out there did not take them offline properly, and so that should be a fear. And then when you look at a tank that sends you a picture of something that you're not getting, that should be an instantaneous no. But some people are still buying that stuff, and then they call me and tell me how disappointed they are. You don't have to be disappointed. You could buy a Royal Spa flotation tank.